So I'm here, as Malcolm said, to talk about folk remedies for winter wellness. So ancient traditions from the herbal traditions of Greece, which are actually quite rich and quite steep in herbal wisdom. I'm excited to talk about folk remedies because this is the tried and true medicine. That's the healing that's passed down from generation to generation through mothers, grandmothers, healers. And for me, that means so much more than a study of an extract or scientific research, which I know is also important. But who is more invested in their health and in health and healing than mothers and grandmothers and who cares more about safety and efficacy? So this is kind of how these medicines got passed down and why they're so important. So my name is Vivian. I work here at the Light Cellar, and I'm also co-owner of this company, Apothiki, which is a small herb business that my husband and I started a couple years ago to share and preserve the really rich herbal traditions of Greece, and to share in the natural beauty, and to preserve a connection to our heritage. My parents are from a very small village on Mount Olympus in Greece. It's very, very remote. I think now winter population is about 200 people total. It's very small. I mean, it's gotten smaller as people have moved out to cities. But all of our herbs are sustainably wild harvested in and around that area by small family farmers who use traditional methods, and they're younger farmers that have chosen to stay and chosen to keep traditional farming methods and chosen to keep this herbal tradition alive. So that was super important to us to help support a community that we care so deeply about and to stay connected to. So I grew up visiting grandparents in the summers, spending lots of time with them. And even as a child, I noticed people in this area were healthy. They lived a very long time. They were vibrant. They were relatively self-sufficient. They grew their own food out of necessity. And I always share, my great-grandmother was, I think, 106, 107. We're not quite sure when she passed, and it was totally normal. She just was hanging out with us, and it was amazing. And I think that part of that, of course, is lifestyle, and part of it is that that folk wisdom that gets passed down from generation to generation. There was no doctors, there was no drugstore or pharmacy. You kind of picked what you found, and that was it. All of the medicine you needed was growing around you. And my grandfather in particular was known as an herbalist in our village. He was a shepherd, very quiet man, super smart, but no education. And part of his lifestyle, he had to grow his own food and raise his own animals, was sitting with plants as he was shepherding, I guess. I don't know if that's a verb, but he'd sit with plants and he'd observe and he'd experiment. And he'd always come up with experiments that he used for his own healing, for his family, to heal his animals, and then kind of became known as somebody who knew and had a relationship with plants and healing. So I've always connected folk herbalism with what I observed from him. And that's, for me, really the drive behind trying to preserve these traditions. Because we all know some of these herbs from a culinary perspective, but they're just so much more than that. So today we're going to talk about simple and effective, really effective, actually effective herbs for winter wellness. So cold and flu season, I hate calling it that, but that's really what it is. And the first one, I think a few of you mentioned, you know and love. It hurts my heart a little when I introduce oregano and people say, oh yeah, it's a great topping for pizza. Okay, sure it is. But this is like a sacred herb. It's one of the most well-known herbs in the area. Its ancient Greek name is Oros Ganos, so the joy of the mountain. gifted to the people of Greece from Aphrodite, who planted it in her Mount Olympus garden as a gift and a reminder of joy and good fortune and happiness. So like so much more than pizza sauce, right? And wild Greek oregano is really different from, you know, your McCormick's oregano that might be at the back of your cupboard right now. Yeah, this one just opened. Its scent, I'll pass this around, and flavor is really powerful, really strong. And you know, when that aroma is present, there's medicinal compounds behind it that are still alive in the plant. Is it different than what you're maybe used to? Awesome. So oregano grows everywhere in Greece, like abundantly, ever since Aphrodite gifted it to us. But the most potent and powerful plant grows really, really high in really difficult terrain and conditions. So kind of where our village is like the last stop before the mountain becomes uninhabitable. So it goes from this like deep green forest up into this like really rocky, windy, steep terrain that's really difficult growing conditions. And we know that when there's difficult growing conditions like that, it builds really resilient plants, and resilient plants produce really strong and powerful medicinal compounds. So in particular with oregano, there's the most well-known and the most potent compounds would be carvacrol and thymol. And those two compounds have lots of different benefits that we've talked about a few times, some of us one-on-one. But for today, I'm really focused on that antiviral benefit. So you probably all know oil of oregano, and it's very effective, powerful, well-researched. For me, just like way too strong. I don't know. It feels like it just wipes out my gut. And people, I think, take it incorrectly. They may take it preventatively through the whole season. And it's a really, really potent oil to be taking that often. And it's kind of hard. I don't know what your experience with it is, but for me, it's a little bit too strong. So you can get all those benefits. Thank you. In all those antiviral benefits in a much gentler way. And the way that I like to take it actually is as a simple tea. So a teaspoon of oregano, just hot water as you would steep any other tea, strain it, some honey to make it palatable. Although this actually, once you wrap your mind around it, not being on your pizza like most people associate it, it's quite tasty with honey, and it's very warming. So it's great if you're getting like nausea, chills, that kind of body ache. So you get, the warmth of the tea, of course, which is always healing. And then those antiviral properties as well. The second way that I like to use oregano, well, more recently, is what we were all spraying when we came in. So this is a hydrosol, which I'm sure you're familiar with if you've been in this room. It's made with a copper still, just like this one. The plant matter is water distilled. The oils are not separated away from the aromatic plant waters that are left behind. And actually, when this was made, there was like this like deep red orange oil that was like so strong. Like it was so potent. Thank you. So what you get is like, you can almost even see the residue of that oil. It's like a really strong tea that's kind of preserved and ready for you to use. And this is great for when you get that tickle in the back of your throat, something's coming. You want, like you would do like a propolis spray, then you can kind of get that antimicrobial action right where you need it. Actually, and I'll pass this around so you can just spray the back of your throat if you're not opposed to the flavor. When was it? A couple months ago, we were at a fall market with Denny and Alex outside from Boreal Bound. And, at a market, you're like talking all day. And the first day, Alex was like, I'm losing my voice. He's like, what do I do? I'm losing my voice. Like, it's like Saturday morning and we've got 2 full days ahead of us. So he just grabbed that bottle and was just spraying the back of his throat all day. And by the end of day one, he's like, I feel so much better. It really just kind of like attacks, like a propolis, like another herbal throat spray. So when something's going around my house, that is sprayed on toothbrushes, like door handles, children, everything. It's just like there's like a force field around me of oregano spray. So yeah, way better, right? And so I was just gonna say, like on your hands or anything, if you want that antibacterial action, like in some times that like you do need that, this is a much gentler way to do it.
Just a comment I actually noted. So many years ago, there was a company, a Canadian company called, it's still around, called Nature Clean.
Yeah.
That had put out like a disinfectant spray to be a substitute for the Lysol.
Okay.
It was comfortable.
Yeah, exactly. So the comment was about a natural, for those at home, a natural cleaning spray that was out at, what was the company called? Nature Clean? Yeah, and carvacrol and thymol were the components of that spray. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was intended to be a substitute for like Lysol.
Yeah. Yeah, as a substitute for disinfectants.
And actually, interestingly enough, when this whole pandemic situation started coming up and all stuff, I did a lot of research, and surprisingly, the World Health Organization actually listed carfentanil and thymol as effective to kill
viruses. Amazing. So I'll repeat that for the people at home. So the World Health Organization over the last few years actually recognizes carvacrol and thymol as an antiviral, which is amazing. Yeah, thank you. So that's oregano. The next one I have to talk about, I know I've talked about this like so much, but I have to talk about it because this is like the ultimate, like this is the go-to ultimate feel better, mama, grandma, cure-all. My tummy hurts, my throat hurts, everything that we use. I'll pass this around actually. I'll pass the whole bouquet around. You can keep one if you want. Smell it. It's just such a nice kind of delicate, like minty, citrusy plant. So this is Greek mountain tea, and that's its actual name. In Greece, it would be called tea of the mountain, but outside of Greece, it's called Greek mountain tea. You might find it as ironwort, because historically it was used like for sword wounds, or shepherd's tea because it grows abundantly in the mountains. So this one might be new to you, but it's been used like by the first pharmacologists, the first philosophers. Even Hippocrates mentions this tea as a healing tea. So it's been around for a very, very long time. And I love this one because now there's all this research in Europe, because it is just so abundant, that is actually backing up what mothers and grandmothers have known forever and ever about it. And it really is a true health tonic. It works on all body systems. So today I'll talk about the immune system, the respiratory system, even the digestive tract. It really is a cure-all. Like, I don't want to say cure-all, but you know what I mean. We use it for everything. So Greek mountain tea. Yeah, this has a Latin name. Siveritis scardica. Sorry, my writing is not usually that legible. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, is it? Okay, good. Yeah.
You can see Greek mountain tea, and then there's the Latin name right there.
Yeah, so during cold and flu season, it's like I use it as an immune support for prevention, and then as a respiratory treatment if you do get sick. So it's always the first tea I reach for when someone in my house is sick. But I also drink it all winter, almost every night. I would say it's a nice tea. It's not like terrible tasting medicine. As an immune support to prevent getting sick, and I'll brew it quite light that way. And then if you do get sick, I brew it a little darker, a little stronger, and use it more as a respiratory treatment. It's also a nervine. It's a very, very calming. And it also actually softens the muscles in the digestive tract. So really good for digestion after dinner tea. It's like, you know, when you have kids that say my tummy hurts and you're not sure if there's like, it actually hurts, or if they're like nervous about something, like that kind of, it will calm you right down, and it will actually soften the digestive tract. So yeah, it's a really good one. Actually, one of our regular customers, you might have been there here that day. I think you were at the table, came in, he usually gets an elixir, and he's like, I'm just feeling off today. My stomach's feeling off. I'm not ready for an elixir. Just like not sure what's going on. So it was quiet. We brewed up a big pot of Creek Mountain tea, and he was like, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes later, he was like, I'm feeling better. Like, he's like, that really did relax his digestive tract, stomach, whatever he was dealing with. And now he's come up with all sorts of interesting blends with it, and it's one of his regular herb that he takes. So yeah, it's a good one that I have to mention because I just love it. Yeah. Any questions about the Greek Mountain tea?
It pairs well with honey and lemon.
Honey and lemon, yeah, so good. Yeah, and then you can have it iced as well. It makes a delicious lemonade. So I often make a big pot. Whatever I don't drink, I throw in the fridge and drink it cold the next day. You know, it might get a little bitter. It is quite, like you felt the stock is quite hard. It does need a little simmer to really extract the most benefits of it. Sometimes I just steep it, but I do like to give it a little simmer on the stovetop. Yeah. All right. So I'm actually really excited to talk about the next herb because it's one that you know and probably have used. But its original uses were highly medicinal and spiritual, but those uses have been probably mostly forgotten and replaced with its culinary uses. And I'm talking about, what am I talking about? Thyme. I had all sorts of puns ready because you've got nothing but thyme, but I'll just leave them for today. I don't actually cook with thyme that much. I use it mostly as a tea. Lost my train of thought. Yeah. So I've been playing with this since last winter, I think. And I'm just like loving it as a winter herb. When I'm feeling run down, feel like something's coming on. I'll tell you exactly how I use it in a minute. It has similar compounds to oregano, but it's more known for like respiratory issues, throat infections, chest infections, bronchitis, that kind of thing. It grows abundantly in Greece as well, wild everywhere, like oregano. In fact, like wild thyme honey is one of the most common varieties of honey that comes out of Greece, and it's got a really unique flavor, and it's such a treat. So thyme was revered in ancient Greece for this reason, because bees loved it, and an abundantly flowering thyme season would mean a good crop of honey. So and honey, of course, was loved by the gods. So that's how thyme became a very sacred plant, a very spiritual plant. So used medicinally, traditionally, and then it became more in our society, more of a culinary herb. Delicious that way too. Now, again, as with the oregano, like if you're using it for tea, you're not going to use your little plastic jar that you've had sitting around for a couple of years. You want it to be kind of alive, and feel free to like pour this out and kind of, I always feel like you have to give an herb a little rub to get the flavor, to release the flavor. My favorite way to use thyme other than a tea is in an herbal steam. So when you're feeling congested, got a cough, a dry cough, whatever it is, couple teaspoons or tablespoons of thyme in a bowl, depending on the size of your bowl, towel around your neck, hot steamy water, and then just like make a little tent. Make sure your face is not close enough to be burned by steam. Oh, sorry, I just had a question. I'm going to come back to that. Is Greek mountain tea anti-inflammatory? Absolutely. That's one of its benefits. Thank you. I'm so bad at watching both at the same time. Yeah, so a time steam is going to not only like acutely help to loosen up congestion, but it's going to allow all of those properties to travel into the nasal passages, the tissues, the chest, the lungs. So that's hands down one of my favorite home remedies for when somebody is feeling sick. There's nothing worse than not being able to sleep because you're congested or you've got a cough going and you can't get the rest that you need in order for your body to do its thing, and actually take the time to heal. Actually, there is something worse than when you are congested. When you are feeling perfectly healthy and someone in your house is congested or coughing and then don't let you sleep. So yeah, no, I lied. That is way, way worse. So it's lovely for that. It gives you that like really fast relief so you can actually sleep. And sometimes we'll do it like twice a night. If someone's like waking up and can't sleep again, it's like, okay, let's make another little steam tent. And it really, really works.
Close your eyes.
Yeah, well, you can get a little further. Yeah, close your eyes. Yeah, it's not as, it's true. Yeah, don't burn the skin or the eyes. Yeah, that's right. Slightly, yeah. So all of our herbs, although not all of them say wild, they are all technically wild. So is a little bit of a different variety. And I say that because they all grow abundantly together and without intervention. Some of them are like transplanted onto the farmer's land just for easier harvesting. With oregano and tea, or tea is one of them, sorry. They wouldn't do that. The nettles, those are, yes, they go out. Yeah. So the thyme it is the same variety as a wild thyme. It's just cultivated on their land. So that kind of makes sense, but slightly different. You're right. Then the second way that I love to take thyme is a tea, of course. And I started drinking this blend. Actually, John, if you don't mind, or if you don't want to, Harry can do it if you're taking notes, or Malcolm, thank you. Tea. Oh, 1 second. And yes, I use these for yoni steams, facial steams, and make herbal pearls. And yeah, wonderful. Yeah, it's amazing. And you do need quality herbs for all of these kind of external, what am I trying to say? Uses as well. Okay, so this blend is something that I've been drinking since last year, and I just love it. Same thing when you feel like you're getting sick. So last spring, I think it was, when that really nasty respiratory something was going around, I got a call from a friend who's quite conventional in how she would usually treat things. And she's a teacher, and she had a student who was an athlete who was being scouted for something. I'm not sure what sport or what it was, but she said, I have this kid, I need you to help. He's so sick. He's tried all the conventional stuff. Like, we're desperate. We're going to try some of your weird herbal remedies. So yeah, I'm sure most of you are somebody's weird herbal friend in this room for sure. So I made up this blend, and I'll tell you what's in it in a moment. And, dropped it off late at night. Really felt like I set my husband out as like an apothecary messenger late into the night with his healing herbs. 2 or 3 days later, I got another call from her friend, and she said, I heard you got this magic blend. And I have 3 kids in the house, and they're all sick, and this is the worst we've ever gotten in, and we're all miserable. Can you please help me? So, we had the conversation, asked some questions, made up the same blend for her. The next day, the first woman's husband called me. I need some of the stuff. I need the blend. And obviously, when I ran into all of them after, they're like, 3 for 3, that stuff worked. What was in it? So this is what we're drinking today. And the base of it is thyme, and the medicinal base is thyme. And all the herbs in this blend grow wild together. And I really believe that herbs that grow naturally together work synergistically together. So yeah, I don't, but we do have all the components in the shop. Yeah. So I'll tell you in a second. Yeah. So the two major parts of it are lemon balm and the thyme. So the lemon balm is in there as a nervine. So super calming. Thank you. This lemon balm is so fragrant. We try to have all our herbs sold within 12 to 14 months of harvest, which is, yeah. Good question. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah, it's so true. Yeah. So comment for those of you who are at home. This lady rubbed some of the thyme and took a big sniff of it and could feel it like in the back of her throat, and was saying that even the thyme she grows at home is not as potent. And it's funny, like oregano is an example, and thyme, because they're wild. They're both herbs that are actually stronger when they're dried. I get people all the time say, at markets and such, saying, "Oh, no, thank you. I grow my own oregano." And it's like, there's nothing that we can grow in our gardens that can compare to something that grows wild in the conditions that some of these herbs grow in. So the lemon balm is there as a nervine. It does have antiviral and immune supportive properties, but I included it for flavor, number one, and it's very calming. On its own, I find it actually makes me quite drowsy. So that's the lemon balm. The thyme, of course, is like the powerhouse of the blend, the antiviral properties, respiratory support, and it does add flavor as well. I actually prefer thyme as a tea than for cooking. I can't quite get it right for cooking. I'm not sure why. I just have I'm stuck on it as a tea. So that's so I would do I did a bodum for that, about this size. I did 2 tablespoons of lemon balm, 2 tablespoons of thyme. And then the other 2 herbs I included, do grow on Mount Olympus. I just don't bring them in, but I might start. Mullein is actually very abundant in Mount Olympus as well. It's called slomos in Greek. And it grows where all these herbs are. And this is one, just a light solar brown. Slomos. I don't know. It's known as a light herb, because it used to be used for lamps and I guess burning. So can't remember what it's like a beam of light, basically. Yeah. So mullein is in there. Mullein has traditional uses as lung respiratory support. Of course, we know it now as a demulcent. It moistens the tissues. It's an expectorant. So anytime you have like a cough or dry cough situation, the mullein is great. And for today, I just added some peppermint as a just for flavor and to balance it out. But if I were using this for myself, so not if you're pregnant, not for kids, because it's a very strong herb. This is going to get messy, so I'll pass it around like this. Instead of the peppermint, if you're actually acutely fighting something and feeling sick, I would use this wild mint, which is pennyroyal. So it's the smallest of the wild mints. You know it? Yeah, you do. Okay. Yeah, not too much of it. It's an abortive, actually. It's used traditionally, the oil. But the tea itself is amazing when you are really wanting to fight something. I wouldn't take it long term, but yeah, for a few days when you're feeling sick, it gives that mint flavor. Do crush it. I'm going to pass it around. Sorry, I know you've got lots in here. Crush it up. It's got an interesting minty flavor. So if it were for kids, or again, in pregnancy, I would use the peppermint. That's what we're using today. But pennyroyal is one that I definitely recommend having in your home apothecary, just for those times when you really want to to kind of attack something that's got a hold on you.
And what portion of the mullein and peppermint did you add?
Right. So I did 2 tablespoons mullein and 1 tablespoon of peppermint. And I would do the same for pennyroyal. I would just take it right off the stalk. I'm just going to grab a stalk from there.
That was to like that to wrap with water.
Oops. Yeah, this was like I would have done it in a larger one at home. Like that's a lot for about 8 cups. Yeah. Yeah. So I would just, this is going to get messy, but just like right off the thing. It's actually pretty yummy, like on lamb, potatoes, that kind of thing as well. And yeah, pennyroyal in small amounts. You don't really have to worry too much about any kind of issues with it. It's very, very aromatic. Yes. 2 tablespoons. Yeah. So usually I would just, so it'd be like 2 parts of everything and then 1 part of the mint or pennyroyal. And I would just mix up a big jar of it and then steep it like you would any regular tea, like a teaspoon per. Oh, sorry. I steep it 5-10 minutes, depending on how strong you want it. This one was steeped at like about 8 minutes per. Yeah. Okay. So question was. Oh yeah. Yeah. So just 2 parts thyme, 2 parts lemon balm, 2 parts mullein, and 1 part peppermint or pennyroyal or any minty, well, any kind of mint. Spearmint would be nice too. And also pennyroyal has that menthol quality to it. So it does help to clear the nasal passages. And first, the tea. Yeah, I don't see why not. It would definitely be better to drink it right away. Just, yeah, because I bet some of those oils will steam off of it. And you know the Greek mountain tea. I know you, yeah, we've talked about it before. There's a little honey in this one. Yeah, yeah. And you like it? Good. Yeah, it's not like one of those like gross tasting medicines. It's like, it's quite nice to taste. Oh, okay. Hide it. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Anybody, any other questions? You know what? I've thought about it. I just haven't. Yeah, it was a goal, a winter goal that never materialized. But yeah, oh, you like it? Good. I'm so glad. Well, we do have everything here, and they're all delicious on their own as well. So yeah, yeah. Thank you. Any other questions on here?
Nope.
Okay, well, that's all I've got. If there's no other questions, thank you so much for coming, and I'll be kind of loitering around if you have other ones.